Welcome back to Cheddar's Opening Bell, everyone. A federal judge made a ruling in the Epic Games versus Apple case, saying that the tech giant is breaking the law by forcing people to pay for apps and in-app items through its app store. Now, Apple was told that it must allow all apps to link to external websites for in-app purchases within 90 days. However, the judge rejected claims that Apple is running a monopoly over how developers can process mobile game payments, which the makers of Fortnite intend to appeal. Here to discuss is Adam Kovakovich, who is the CEO of the Chamber of Progress. Adam, good to have you here with us today. I want to get your reaction, first and foremost, to the Epic Apple ruling. Who won this case from your perspective?
Well, I think consumers won. I think developers won. I think Apple won most of what it wanted. Epic didn't win much at all. It actually won more of a victory for other developers than for itself, because the judge ruled that Apple can keep Epic off of the App Store. I think what you saw the judge do, and you kind of refer to this, is that she essentially upheld the integrity of the iOS system by saying that Apple can run iOS essentially how it chooses to, but she also used a California law to mandate that Apple give developers the right to link to their own alternative payment systems. I think that could turn out to be very significant. We won't know kind of how the impact that has for a while, but that could turn out to be a very significant. I think it's a positive for both developers and for consumers.
Okay, and so according to the ruling, mobile games make up 70% of Apple's App Store revenue. However, the judge denied that Apple has monopoly on the gaming marketplace. So explain the significance of that for us.
Yeah, it's true. Look, antitrust law is confusing sometimes, but what she essentially said, so Epic had argued to the judge that there was a market for all iPhone apps. And Apple controlled that market. Apple argued for a narrower market definition. She actually rejected both companies' proposed market definitions, and she determined that the relevant market was for mobile gaming transactions. She then said in that market, Apple, in her judgment, has about a 55-57% share, which isn't enough to be considered a monopoly, which is typically around 70% plus share. And so she was pretty critical of Epic for kind of overshooting its case and failing to establish that Apple had a dominant position. And that's why she essentially ruled that Apple has the ability to set the rules for the iPhone, for the iPhone and for the App Store.
Okay, so Epic Games is going to be looking to appeal the judge's decision over Apple's, what they have alleged as monopoly. The CEO tweeting, quote, "Epic is fighting for fair competition among in-app payment methods and app stores for 1 billion consumers." I want to get your outlook on this appeal, and there you're seeing on the screen the tweet from Tim Sweeney as well here.
I don't blame them. Look, Epic has millions of dollars invested in this, and the judge is pretty clear. She outlined this in her opinion, that this was really the fruit of Epic trying to get into the iPhone channel with Fortnite in the same way that it had successfully gotten into other channels. She said, look, mobile app transactions, this is a $100 billion market, so a lot of money is at stake. It doesn't cost Epic that much to appeal a case. I also think it's important to note that Epic has been pushing legislation in state capitals and in the federal government that would essentially kind of change the App Store rules altogether. I think the judge's ruling undercuts the push for that argument, because essentially Epic and other app developers have been saying, look, we want a way around Apple's 30% commission, and the judge gave them that, right? The judge said, yeah, sure, you can link to your own payment systems. So I think we're going to see app developers experimenting with that. But the legislation they're pushing also requires Apple to allow sideloading of unauthorized apps. That's not something that's good for consumers. And the judge in this case actually said that. She said, look, Apple has a good reason not to allow sideloading of unauthorized apps.
And so the judge says that Apple violated anti-steering rules by restricting developers from telling users where to buy outside of Apple's ecosystem. And the tech giant has 90 days to open up App Store payments. So what could that mean for third-party app developers going forward from here?
Well, here's the way I like to think about it. Think of an analogy here. Think of the iPhone as like Disneyland, right? It's a clean, safe, curated environment where you can be pretty sure you're not going to get scammed, right? And that's in contrast to the more open computing environments of, say, Windows or even Mac OS, right? Which is more like a public park. You can download software from anywhere, and you can. There's more freedom, but there's less control and less security. Epic was essentially saying, Judge, turn Disneyland into a public park. free admission, no security checkpoints, food vendors galore, right? And she said, no, that's not really the role of the courts. But what she did allow, again, to keep extending the analogy, is for people to bring their own snacks into Disneyland. So for Apple, they are probably going to see some revenue decrease from some of those payment processing happening through apps as opposed to through their system. But I also think a lot of consumers will choose to continue to use Apple's system because it's safe, reliable. They do a lot of fraud prevention. So we'll see. I think we're going to see experimentation, which is good, but we'll also see what consumers choose.
I mean, it's a $19 billion a year App Store revenue that is brought in for Apple there. So how does this impact that? And are there other players in the fintech space that could potentially see some of that volume overflow to them?
I think you could. And again, I do think it's realistic to expect there could be a revenue impact. But again, I think you'll also probably see consumers choosing, right? There is a certain degree of convenience from having your credit card already stored in Apple's system. The one click or double click to pay is very convenient. But what I think was very creative and I think positive about the judge's ruling is that it also provides a channel for you to sign up for a subscription or an in-app purchase through the app's own service, and that could provide an opportunity for the app, for, as you say, for other payment processors. And so that's a positive as well. So I think we'll see consumers being faced with that choice, and we'll see what they choose.
Yeah, overall for consumers, customers, how are they affected by these rulings?
Well, again, I think it's a positive. And again, if you go back to the Disneyland analogy, that now people can bring snacks into Disneyland. That doesn't mean everybody will choose to, but they have the ability to. I think with respect to iPhone, a lot of people buy the iPhone because it just works really well and it's safe and convenient. I think I'm like my mom, right? I would never give my mom like a Windows computer. It's too complicated, but the iPhone is really convenient and safe. And I think the ruling preserves all of that. So if you're a consumer, you love your iPhone, you love that it works smoothly and reliably, this ruling's great for you. And if you're an app developer who wants to experiment with alternative payment systems, this ruling is great for you because it's now going to give you the ability to do that kind of experimentation.
I'm not trying to bring snacks into Disneyland. I'm just trying to get my barbecue sauce back from TSA
But you can.
in Texas, honestly. Guys, thank you so much for the conversation here today. Adam Kovakovich, who is the CEO of the Chamber of Congress, joining us here today.